We've all heard of cars that are worth waking up early for. But what about a car that fills you so full of adrenaline that it won't let you go to sleep in the first place? A car that has your mind racing at 3 a.m. A car that leaves you so wide-eyed in the middle of the night that you might as well get up and drive it until the sun comes up.
What a crazy thing this is. This is the Ariel Nomad R. It's well, I don't really know what it is.
You could, arguably, place it in the same genre as a Range Rover Sport SVR or an AMG G-Wagon, an off-roader turned on-roader. But to be honest, this takes things so much further than that. This is a concoction forged equally from a Nomad and the old track-focused Atom 3.5R. Yes, it has lots of suspension travel, but its Öhlins dampers are really firm, and the Yokohama AO52 tyres are slickly tacky rather than deeply treaded.
Behind me is the supercharged Honda v-tec engine from the old Atom. It's putting out 335 brake horsepower and 243 pounds-foot of torque. 0-60 in 2.9 seconds. And the top speed is 134 miles an hour, which is not that fast, but that's all because of the gearbox.
It's a Sadev sequential with straight-cut gears, dog rings and a pneumatic shift. There is a clutch pedal, which you need at lower speeds and revs, but otherwise it can be left alone.
Henry Siebert Saunders, who is the mastermind behind the Nomad and now this, has described it as a sort of tarmac WRC car, hence it's one big paddle. So you push it away for you to go down the gears and then pull it towards you to come up the gears. The revs barely drop when you go up through the gears. In fact, I think you could just leave it in 6th and it would still feel utterly insane. Between the noise of those straight cut gears and the whine of the supercharger, it almost sounds sort of electric at times, but I don't know any electric car that sounds as interesting as this. You can see there's quite a lot of kickback over bumps, so this is definitely a Rally Catalunya sort of WRC tarmac car than, I don't know, Marl or something.
Now I should point out that you can drive this car slowly, but rather like getting in or out of it elegantly, I prefer the Father Christmas down the chimney method, it's not something that feels very natural. I actually rather enjoyed pottering through towns and villages because you have a moment to take stock and revel in the cacophony of shrieks, screams, whines and the fairground sounds that it makes. You also get more time to appreciate the fantastic finish of this car. There might not be much to it, but there is a thoroughly engineered polish to everything that there is. It certainly gets a lot of looks from passers-by as well, and they all seem to smile at it. As a road car then, it certainly seems to bring joy, but the more I drove it, the more I kept thinking that its natural home would actually be the unwrinkled surface of a racetrack.
On smoother bits of tarmac it definitely works better, and it's nice being able to left foot brake because you can just help get the nose in, really work both throttle and brake at the same time. Because like Atoms and Nomads, you really have to work that nose because there's no weight over it. Through longer corners, that's where you can feel the Nomad part of the suspension, that's where you get the lean. The rest of the time, it actually seems to be staying pretty flat. Like I say, you can certainly feel bumps through the steering. There's quite a bit of kickback. It does get distracted. A number of times I've gone for a 7th gear. It's so short geared. I love this single paddle as well. It really works for me. I find it really intuitive. I've tried it a few times before in various WRC cars. It is so intense.
To quote Blackadder, the Nomad R is madder than Mad Jack McMad, the winner of last year's Mr. Madman competition. It shouldn't be called a Nomad, it should be called a Completely Mad. Is it more of a track car than I was expecting? Yes. Would I rather have a normal Nomad or a normal Atom 4? Probably yes. But am I glad that Ariel does nutty things like this? And did I love the challenge of driving it on the road? Absolutely yes. However, potential owners of a £77,000 Nomad R, there will only be 5, should be aware that they might need to look at investing in other areas as well.
And relax. If you bought an Ariel Nomad R, and I would heartily recommend one to you, I think you might also need to take up yoga at the same time. Partly because the flexibility needed to get in and out of the Nomad R is above the average. Also, it's just so physical and there's not a lot of lumbar support, so I think helping to stretch out after a drive in the Nomad R would be also useful. But mostly because the Nomad R is, yes, it's the most intense road car I have ever driven. Pretty much the most intense car actually, sort of road or race, I think. It is just so discombobulating, it's so all-enveloping, it's so loud and so physical that after a drive in it, even for half an hour, I think you would need the yoga to be able to say, perhaps get your own water feature, talk about the golden thread, and just relax. Bring yourself back down to earth before you go for another drive.